welcome back to my channel. If you haven't already, make sure to give me a like and subscribe, as well as follow me on Facebook. Today, we're going to be reading Pigs on the Move, Fun with Math and Travel by Amy Axelrod. Let's get into it! Mrs. Pig hit the roof. "What do you mean our plane just left?" she exclaimed. "Sorry, dear," apologized Mr. Pig. "With my headphones on, I couldn't hear a thing. I completely missed the boarding call." "This will be the worst holiday ever," cried the piglets. "Now we'll never get to play in the snow." "Oh no! It seems the pig family missed their flight. That must be so disappointing." "I know it must be very frustrating when you miss a flight, especially when you came very early, like 6:45 in the morning." "No problem," said Mr. Pig. "I'll just go book us another flight." "Great idea," said Mrs. Pig. "Except for one thing." "What's that?" asked Mr. Pig. "Look at this place," she said. "It's only one of the busiest travel days of the year." And that's true. A lot of families travel around Christmas time. Mr. Pig made his way toward the ticket counter. "Keep your spirits up," he shouted to his family over the crowd. Mrs. Pig and the piglets sat in the lounge and waited. "What luck," said Mrs. Pig when she saw her husband waving and smiling. "Same route as before?" she asked. "Not exactly," he answered. "We're hitching a ride on a special delivery plane that has a few stops to make along the way, so our trip will take a little longer." "But we're supposed to arrive after lunch," said the piglets. "Relax," said Mr. Pig. "The sun's barely up. We'll breeze into Beantown before you know it." "Well then," said Mrs. Pig, "if we want to spend this Christmas with the cousins, we'd better get a move on." "Well, if this doesn't take the cake," exclaimed Mrs. Pig as they boarded the plane. "We're all employees of the Great North Pole Delivery Company," explained the captain. "We like to dress the part." "Merry Christmas, everybody," called out the piglets. "We're the pigs." "Ho, ho, ho," shouted the crew. The pigs placed their bags in the overhead compartment and took their seats. "Please buckle up," instructed the flight attendant as the plane taxied down the runway. "We've got 4 stops to make today: in the city by the bay, Mile High City, Windy City, and Beantown, and we can't be late." "But City by the Bay is to the west," said Mrs. Pig. "That's the wrong way." "Look at the map, Mom," said the piglets. "It's only 1,750 miles." "Dear, it's just a minor detour," said Mr. Pig. "Why don't you use the time to work on your blanket?" If the pigs are supposed to arrive at Bean City a little bit past noon or lunchtime, and they're leaving now at 8 a.m., I wonder if they'll still arrive at the same time or later. Let's look at the map. We can see that the pigs started at Alamo City, which is in Texas, and Texas is in Central Time. Then they're going to head over to City by the Bay, which is in California, and California is in Pacific Time. These are time zones. Since we know that the sun rises in the east, the United States has different time zones. For example, if they left at 8 a.m. in Alamo City, at the time the plane took flight, it was already 6 a.m. in City by the Bay, since it was 2 time zones over. The United States has 6 time zones: Eastern Time, Central Time, Mountain Time, Pacific Time, Alaska Time, and Hawaii Aleutian Time. Mrs. Pig took out her knitting needles and clicked away, while Mr. Pig snuggled into his seat. He was still out like a light when the plane touched down. It took the crew 2 hours to load and unload the cargo. After that, the plane was back in the sky. We can see here that it's already 11:30 in City by the Bay. So, what time would it be in Bean City? Let's look back at the map. If it is 11:30 at Pacific time, then we need to figure out what time would be at Eastern time, since Bean City is here. Well, we just gotta add the hours. If it's 11:30 here, then it's 12:30 here, then it's 1:30 here, and then it's 2:30 here. So now we know that the pigs are not going to make it right after lunch, since it's already 2 hours after that time. Next stop, Mile High City, said the flight attendant. We'll be climbing to 32,000 feet and cruising at a speed of 500 miles an hour, announced the captain from the cockpit. Just 1,120 miles, said the piglets. At least now we're flying east, said Mrs. Pig. The pigs kept busy by snacking and even had room for lunch when the flight attendant wheeled the cart down the aisle. Are we there yet? Asked Mr. Pig when the plane landed at Mile High City Airport. I only wish, said Mrs. Pig. It's past noon and we've already eaten 2 meals, and we're only here, she said, pointing to the map. Next stop, Windy City, and then straight on to Beantown, announced the captain. It's 1,050 miles and then 1,050 more, said the piglets. For the remainder of the trip, the crew really got the pigs into the Christmas spirit. Up in the clouds, they were having a wonderful time. The sun had long set by the time they reached Beantown. It felt like we were flying forever, said Mrs. Pig. Look on the bright side, said Mr. Pig. At least you finished that blanket. The pigs put on warm jackets and hurried outside. Yippee! Shouted the piglets. We got a Christmas wish! Oh wow, look at the time. It's already almost midnight. Mr. Pig hailed a taxi and they were on their way into town. We can't wait to see the cousins, said the piglets. Christmas Eve in Beantown is certainly a beautiful sight, said Mr. Pig. Children, the gingerbread house, exclaimed Mrs. Pig. Do you have it? The piglets shook their heads no. Don't worry, said Mr. Pig. We'll leave Santa a nice place of cookies, and if the captain and crew find the gingerbread house, then I guess they'll have a nice Christmas treat. The taxi driver pulled over to the curb. Here we are, he said. You're my last fare. It's nearly midnight, almost Christmas. Midnight? Whispered Mr. Pig to Mrs. Pig. His watch must be broken. Wow, look at all the decorations, said the piglets. It looks like Mr. Pig did not set his watch to Eastern time, and it's still Central time for him. My goodness, said Mrs. Pig. If this doesn't take the... Look, they caught Santa Claus on their way out. Thanks for the gingerbread house. Santa Claus must have still gotten the gingerbread house from the plane crew. And look at the beautiful quilt that Mrs. Pig knitted. So, mathematicians, what did we learn today? Well, we learned that the USA has 6 different time zones, and the world has 24 different time zones. We also learned that if you travel east, each time zone is an hour later, but if you travel west, each time zone is an hour earlier. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Goodbye, mathematicians!